When ramping on any new architecture, visuals are always a good place to start. And as you start to research the Force.com documentation, you're likely to come across a wide variety of visuals representing many different representations of the Force.com stack. However, these visuals are more often than not designed and targeted toward a non-technical audience. Some are seemingly representative of a standard N-tier architecture, while others are geared more toward showing off feature and service offerings, and where they seem to intersect the architecture. However, while the basic platform capability can indeed be represented as an architectural stack, the broad and ever-expanding collection of platform features and services, as well as platform characteristics, cannot be easily represented in such a visual. I suggest that your first visualization of the platform focus simply on a logical representation of the primary functional layers of the application services architecture, which is pretty much identical to a traditional N-tier model. I refer to this as the architectural stack, but please keep in mind that this is just a visual abstraction of a much more complex physical implementation. Let's walk through it from the bottom up. First, we have an infrastructure layer, representing the servers and the data centers supporting the platform. Next, a data layer. Now, the data layer is going to comprise both business data as well as metadata. Next, an application and business logic layer. Then a controller layer and a view layer that sits on top of it for the user interface. And adjacent to the controller layer is the API layer for external programmatic access. You might notice that the API layer is also positioned under the view layer. That's because it is possible to make client-side web service calls to the API layer from JavaScript that lives in the view. Now, there's no representation here of how the Force.com stack differs from a generic N-tier model, and while this is essentially a correct representation, it doesn't provide any context for the capabilities or characteristics of the platform that make it different. I'm showing you this incomplete yet overly lengthy list on purpose. It's just a sampling of some of the features and capabilities of the platform that comprise an ever-expanding stack of services. Now, each one may stand independent, or might intersect with one or more of the other services and work together. While many are often considered platform features, such as configurable localization or monitoring and logging, they're actually all services of one sort or another. Now, they may arbitrarily intersect with one or more layers of the architectural stack, so I refer to these as cross-cutting services. Here I've attempted to visualize how the architectural stack itself sits on top of the stack of cross-cutting services, and any one of those services may intersect with any of the architectural layers. What this visual suggests is that while the architectural stack may be static, the services stack is quite scalable. As Salesforce.com determines that an offering would be a beneficial addition to the platform, they can, metaphorically speaking, slide it into place in a subsequent release. All they have to do to bring it online is to extend the engine to support it, add the appropriate metadata and the API hooks. Now granted, I know that this is an oversimplification of a much more sophisticated implementation, but I believe that it does present a high-level visualization of how the platform is structured and how it can rapidly evolve. Now, what you'll see here is the combination of architectural layers with some of the intersecting services. We've also added both security features and the chatter social capability, as in both cases these are examples of where a feature or capability crosses architectural layers. We've also specifically identified the areas where programmatic functionality can be injected by a developer, and this should reinforce my earlier mention that programming on the platform, whether in Apex or Visualforce, will typically only be a very small portion of the overall content of any application.